Hello, welcome to Diamonds in the Rough, where we take an in-depth look at the boats that are available on the market so that you can make informed decisions. Today, I'm at Alexandria Yacht Club, not far from downtown Toronto, and I'm about to take a look at a CNC 37 sailboat. CNC was one of the top sailboat manufacturers in all of North America in the mid-1980s. CNCs are still famous to this day because they point high on the wind, they're seaworthy, and they're high performance. So we're gonna go check out Barca Nostra and see what she has to offer. Here she is. This is Barca Nostra, our CNC 37. She's got a 14,300 pound displacement, an 11.67 foot beam, and she's got this new spade rudder, just 3 years old. The rudder is coated with a primer of Interprotect and this VC17 copper-based paint. That's ideal for fresh water. Moving forward, you've got this VeraPro propeller showing minimal signs of galvanic corrosion. An anode also showing minimal signs of galvanic corrosion, looking fresh. The drive shaft goes up to a Yanmar 27 or perhaps 30 horse diesel. The cradle's included, the ladder is included. The keel is a lead melt with antimony stiffener and stainless steel fasteners. So moving along here, I'm seeing very little indication of osmosis, very little indication of blistering. I don't see gouging, I don't see cracks, I don't see damage or sign that there's been major repairs. There's a tiny crack here on the leading edge of the keel. However, aside from that, this is a great testament to the balsa core, hand-laid construction of CNC. It's balsa core, it's laid up thick, it's not chop shot, and that's why you see hulls like this one from 1983 lasting through to today so beautifully. You can see the original gel coat just above the waterline, and with a little bit of compound polish and some wax, that's going to shine very nicely.
Here's the boat cover for Barca Nostra. If you look at it, you can see that all the way along, the tow rail does this amazing service by allowing you to run a rope to the boat cover and back, all the way around the deck. So it's a pretty sweet tow rail, and it's a pretty sweet boat cover. However, there are some holes there and there that have just been covered with duct tape. Not ideal. You're going to want to get that fixed at a canvas shop. But you're saving probably $1,000 a year on shrink wrap just by having this boat cover here.
Here we are in the cockpit of Barca Nostra. Behind the cockpit combing, there is a mount for the hydraulic NavTech backstay adjuster, which is being serviced and is in great working order. It goes to a big double spreader rig. It's got new wiring, it's got rod rigging, and it's got Furlex furling. In this locker here on the port side, aft, right now they're just keeping the flares, but it's a vented propane locker. There's one on either side. The propane's actually on the starboard side propane locker. You've got your skipper's seat here. That allows you to see forward through the Dodger, which I'm told is in great condition, has clear windows. You'll have to see it for yourself. I haven't seen it yet, but the skipper can see clearly seated without having to stand from this spot here. There's a mini frame, keeps you out of the rain nicely. Under the skipper's seat, which is removable, you've got your shore power plug-in and access to the vents if you want to run a new vent line. Binnacle compass. Raymarine autopilot with like an internal mechanism so that you don't have the external second wheel that you see on a lot of autopilots. This just goes directly down to the quadrant. Simple as that. You've got your Yanmar engine panel for your engine controls. Speakers, both sides. On the other side, under all these fenders, there would be your manual bilge pump. Stock winch. This winch came with the boat when it was made. This winch was added on custom. That's a 3-speed winch there. Big beefy additional 3-speed winch. There are actually 6 winches accessible just from the cockpit. Moving forward, you've got a self-tailing winch and another smaller winch. And of course that's mirrored on both sides. You can run your winch line to this cleat here. You can run your Cunningham, your boom bang, your halyards back through these jammers to the skipper. The cockpit itself is quite comfortable. It's quite large. It doesn't have that 90-degree angle digging into your back. It's very ergonomic. I can spread out here nice and comfortably. Lots of space. You've got a winch locker, a shallow winch locker. The quarter berth runs underneath there. If the person sleeping in the quarter berth wanted to talk to me, they could talk to me directly through that window there. Then, the steering wheel has this nice leather coating so that you don't freeze your hands off. Raymarine depth sounder, Raymarine speedometer, nice plexiglass slider slash skylight, cabin top mounted traveler. Really nice feature to have that. That means you're not constantly moving your main sheet out of the way to go into the galley. When you want to go inside, you don't want to have to move lines just to go through your door.
Below me are 2 12-volt batteries covered so that when you throw your life jackets, when you throw your lines, whatever gear you're keeping down here, it doesn't mess with the circuit. Got their lids on. There's a new trickle charger mounted on the wall. Fire extinguisher, the compressor just to my right is completely caged off so that if you throw stuff down here, it doesn't mess with the delicate components in the compressor. To my left, there is an engine access panel so you can reach the back of the engine. There's actually excellent engine access through this panel to my left. In there is a third 12-volt battery and a dripless shaft seal and all of the drivetrain on the aft side of the Yanmar diesel. As you walk forward here, one nice feature is these stanchions are outside of the tow rail, so I don't have to squeeze myself in too tight to move forward. And there's these nice teak handrails so that if there's lots of waves, you can safely move all the way almost to the V-Berth hatch. You've got a great big hatch midships. You could totally jump down there if you wanted to. Land almost in the galley table. And these handrails still have their varnish. It's clearly taken care of nicely with this pool noodle covering tactic for winterization. All the winches, the Traveler, all the high load areas on this boat have been reinforced with marine grade plywood. You've got spar tight around the mast collar And that not only keeps water from getting into the cabin or dripping down the mast, but you might not realize it also improves the thrust from the load in the rigging into the boat, making the boat go faster. So the spar tighter on the mast collar is also a nice feature.
What you're looking at here is worn out non-skid. It's too smooth, it is too slippery, but all you got to do is sand that down and look at a catalog, pick the non-skid of your choosing, maybe something premium like Kiwi Grip, and pick the color scheme and pattern that works for you. This is an opportunity to start fresh with your non-skid deck.
So in the anchor locker, you got quite a bit of space, and 2 anchors, of course everything included, plow anchor, swivel anchor.
Here I am in Barca Nostra's quarter berth. I'm on these cockpit cushions next to the cockpit table. If I wanted to talk to the skipper, I could easily do so through this window. I could just open it up and say, hey, do you need any help out there? And they could say, hell yeah. Or they could yell at you and tell you to wake up, get out of bed, and go give them a hand. Whatever it is, you've got an easy line of communication with the skipper. You've also got this easy engine access panel. You can access the engine through the starboard side lazarette. You can access the engine from behind the companionway stairs. And you can also access it through this panel, which means you've got pretty above average access. It's a very accessible and lots of clearance to work around that engine. Now I'm 6'1". I fit in here comfortably. I think that even James Harden, who's 6'5", could sleep in this quarter berth comfortably. You've got this nav table that could fit full-size charts quite easily. VHF radio, instrument panel, fan, lots of storage. And underneath, there's a very large storage space underneath the table. A dog could fit in there. So I've taken the cushions out of the quarter berth now, and I've opened the hatches underneath the quarter berth, and we got our hot water heater. So you've got pressurized hot and cold water plumbing in this boat. And there's quite a bit of space to work around that. You got a nice big storage compartment. So here's the second access point to your Yanmar 27 or 30 horsepower, not quite sure, diesel. And what I noticed right away, it's relatively clean. There's not a lot of, it's not like I could eat off it clean, but it's not a terribly dirty engine room. The belt looks reasonably tight. It's not loose. There's no rust. It looks like it's in pretty good working order. All of the drivetrain from the transmission back has been replaced, and it's got an oil dipstick back here. Let's check it. Alright, so the oil, it's full. It's up past the full line there, and I don't see any metal flakes in that oil, which is a good sign. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see any detritus. It's just engine oil, and that looks nice and clean to me. Full and clean as it should be. Boom! This boat has a pretty comfortable saloon. It's very, the upholstery is new. This is all new upholstery. got these space age looking compression posts that I'm a fan of. I've been in a lot of CNCs, but I haven't seen this funky looking compression post too often. It's on both sides and it just gives you that Millennium Falcon vibes. And then the teak is very common in CNCs and many boats made in the 80s. Teak is common because it's good. I mean, it's relatively resistant to the weather compared to a lot of softwoods and a lot of plywood or other options that you might see in newer boats today. The hardwood's a little harder to come by, so now you see more IKEA boat carpentry. So it's kind of nice to have like that classic teak with the brass instruments, brass clock, brass barometer, and a little bit of dose of modern mixed in here. It sleeps one 6'1" person quite easily, I would say. So you got a water tank there under the port settee, and then the real beauty here
So here's your head. It's a new Jabsco head, and you got storage behind it. You got little toiletries storage next to the sink. It's a very deep sink for a head. Hot and cold water. Mirrored little cubbies. Well, not so little. Double shelf cubbies, and not only is there a hot water heater on this boat, but you also have a shower. The bilge in this boat is about 14 inches deep. It's separated by 2 dividers. There's 6 keel bolts, none of which appear to have any corrosion. I don't see any sign of rust on the keel bolts. That's something you always want to check when you're looking at buying a boat. Check the keel bolts, make sure there's no corrosion on them. You got your electric bilge pump, and additionally there is the manual bilge pump as well.
So in the saloon, there's enough standing headroom that I can walk around easily. Full standing headroom all the way back to the companionway. Let's see how that goes going towards the V-Berth. Normally the mast would be here going through the cabin top. We've got a great closet here and a nice cubby. Look at that and you get the sense this could be a pretty practical liveaboard. Lots of storage. It's a very deep closet. And here's the first pinch point. Again, I'm 6'1", so going into the V-Berth is the first place I got a duck bit. No big deal. How about sleeping? This is one of the most important things to check. Whether your berths are long enough. So this berth is 6'5", and that means that James Harden could sleep comfortably in this V-Berth. Fred Van Fleet could probably spread out. It's 6'5" end, 6'1" wide. That cushion pops off. This piece pops out. And you got a nice step here. On the starboard side, there's more shelving. Good amount of stash space. It's lined with this great teak carpentry. You got good shelves all the way along either side.
reading lights. On the back of this panel, there's your outlets. And of course your V-Berth hatch. The V-Berth hatch has this funky little plastic lock. So when that's on, people can't open it from the outside. You just slide it off, swing the handles, open it up. If you wanted to keep it open, you can just tighten this knob, and now you've got ventilation. So all of that's in good working order. So now I'm on the starboard side bunk or settee. It's very similar to the one on the port side. You got about a forearm depth on these shelves back here, and it runs all the way along. Lots of storage. Enough length here that I could sleep here, no problem. Pretty comfortably. Same new upholstery. Now, if I take these cushions out, there is more underneath. Here's a pretty tricked out feature. It's the air conditioner. Good sized air conditioning unit for those 40-degree days. And more storage there. Behind the back press here, there's more space. That is the ventilation for the air conditioner, I believe, and some wiring access. But the kitchen, what you're working with is two deep double sinks right here. You've got pressurized cold water, pressurized hot water, a swivel faucet on top. Moving to the side on this panel, you've got a very convenient flip-out trash can. Moving over here into the corner, you've got a very large storage compartment for pots, pans, cookware, woks, kettles, whatever the chef is into. Over here, you've got your cleaners, your seacock access. Up on top here is your countertop. And the neat thing about your countertop, the sous chef can get the food prepared. And then what? Gas stove underneath, 2-burner gas stove right underneath, hidden away. For when you need it. Countertop just disappears right away. Nice handle here. If you're in a seaway, this could be very handy to make sure that you're not spilling boiling water on yourself and you're under control. You got a microwave oven. Underneath that microwave oven is a 1,000 watt inverter. Unfortunately, that's not big enough. It should be upgraded to a 3,000 watt inverter. It is what it is. The sliding cabinets over here though, they run all the way along. They just keep going. You got more than enough space for your pots, your pans, your food, your beans, whatever it is that you're storing away. It just keeps going. Fit a lot of ramen noodles back here. And it goes all the way behind the stairs. And then your utensils, your cutlery, whatever you want to store in these smaller drawers, they're all in alignment. None of them struggle to come out or slide. They don't get stuck. The cabinetry is well done. It's not shoddy. You've got a nice line locker there.
And here you've got another double set of outlets.
You've got enough space in this fridge for a couple of 2.4s and then some probably. And it's got a nice basket that's fitted to hold things in different levels. These are the newly installed tinted plexiglass windows on Barca Nostra. As you can see, they're very clear. The last feature of this boat I want to show you today is the sweet galley table. It's got folding leaves on either side that allow you to put them down if you want to move forward. It's got these fun little cubbies in the middle to stash your stuff. It's an ideal boat for someone who's looking for a racer cruiser, someone who's looking for a family cruiser, or someone who's looking for a liveaboard. So if you're interested in this boat, the contact details are in the description below. And if you'd like to subscribe or like these videos, we'll provide more content.
If you're in the market for a performance cruiser, what I can tell you about CNCs is they're fast, they're quite robust, and quite comfortable.